Hello, we are Coping Life Talk, and I am Dr. Lydia Istomina. Nice to see you all today, our regular audience and new people. Today we have a fascinating guest, and this is LaTonya Williams from St. Joseph, Missouri. Hi, LaTonya.
Hello.
Hello, good to see you. And of course, our two co-hosts, Candy Sheehan and Scott Kiddle. Thank you so much for being here. Your questions and your insights are so important for us because this is what makes our podcast so alive and so interesting for people who want to learn how to cope. And coping is a life skill. So today is our number 86 podcast. And we did it together through thick and thin. So we are developing and growing, and our audience is amazing. Thank you so much for watching us today. Please place your questions and comments, and we will show them on the screen. So, LaTonya,
Yes.
good to have you in our studio today. And we will say and hear so much about you because you are a very important part of our St. Joseph community. Please introduce yourself.
I'm LaTonya Williams, and in all honesty, I just think I'm just a normal individual like everybody else. I just care about my community a whole lot. I'm a mom. I've got 3 girls. My girls are 12, 16, and 24. I am the director of a non-for-profit agency here in town, the Barlett Center. It has a childcare, a preschool, a pre-kindergarten, and after-school program. And we're also heavily invested in community outreach. And then I also own a photography studio as well. And then about a year ago, I was elected to the local school board.
Right. And congratulations with all your awards and your elections. And this year, of course, you received another award, the 2022 Martin Luther King Award, which is a very, very, very big thing that happened in our community. So please tell us about what you know and what you like about Martin Luther King, because February is the month when we honor him. So what can you say about your personal impressions of this man?
He is, I'm trying to think of how to put this into words, just amazing. I mean, a true inspiration. If you care about anybody in your community, his words and his passion will always guide you and help you create a path toward longevity and greatness. I mean, he is just an inspiration for all. It doesn't matter about the color of your skin or anything. He's just truly a man to emulate as much as possible.
Visiting your website, I noticed quite a few wonderful statements you made about Martin Luther King. And I want to share a few of them because it touched me in a very special way. I never thought of that because I thought, what is wrong that people share memes and then they share pictures and then they quote this hero of this nation. And then reading what you said, and I will put it on the screen. As look at this, probably as I look at these pictures, I realize that instead of just sharing generated memories and quotes of this great man, instead of just saying we should strive to be more like him. And then after that you wrote, this also includes not turning a blind eye to injustice and horror people are facing today. He is more than just a meme. He was full of life, full of color. I love that. It immediately brought up the images of this man and the videos that I watched. And then you end with this. It's actually the same, right? So, okay. So it reminded me, and you will probably, you probably never heard of that. But when I was a little girl, and I was, I think, 9 or 10, back in Russia. I'm from Russia. And then we've heard this news that he was assassinated. And it was just a horror. And since I was a young we had this red ties around our neckties, and it's kind of a young people organization that is similar to Scouts and similar neckties. And so we had a call all over the country to collect metal scrapes to fundraise money for the children of Martin Luther King. Imagine in Russia, yes, we were collecting metal scrapes to send money to the United States. And until this day, I remember the energy and enthusiasm that kids have to fundraise as much money as possible. So some got over enthusiastic and stole a car and placed it in the middle of our school stadium. So, you see, this is how far enthusiasm can go. So you're right. It's not enough just to share pictures or to quote, but to act like this. And I'm not saying we did the right thing, because some kids got even too far, and they brought old rusty fences from the close-by cemetery, which was a bad, almost like vandalism. But that's another extreme. But that's why I think it is important when we stand up for social justice, how we do that. And also that we project peace, and our best intentions are to bring community together, right? Not to make it fall apart. So tell me, when you said he was full of life and full of color, how do you remember that day when you've learned about his assassination?
Of course, I was really, really young, and we were not really taught in a manner he was like a real person. It was just like a story. It was like a fairy tale. And I honestly did not get that he truly lived. He was a child. He was a man, a husband, and a father until I was middle school, high school age. Just because it was never really stressed how great this man was. It was just a story to us.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a mythical really element to him.
Can you go ahead?
And you know, LaTonya, I'll tell you, I'm a retired teacher. And in school, I didn't think we did a good job of teaching history. There was whole batches of it that were left out. So I was determined that when I became a teacher, I'm not leaving any of that out. I'm going to get to the good parts. But you know, I don't think I did any better than I was taught. And so it concerns me that even our education system probably does not cover the things that it should always. And I'm very, very afraid that we're backsliding. Instead of getting better, it may get worse because of the divisiveness that we see in the country right now. And so that makes me admire you even more when you're out there doing your best to make a difference and putting your thoughts into actions. I think that is so very, very important. And I was so excited and so proud for the whole community. I saw you at the Barlett Center, and the gym is beautiful. It's just gorgeous. And that was just so heartwarming for me to see that. And so, you know, I just want to think of ways that we can help keep that going and make it a kinder, better place. And so I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about the work you're doing at the Barlett Center and what that means to the community there. And then also remind me of where it's located. Sometimes I kind of forget that. And maybe was it called something else before? And maybe would I remember it? That's what I thought. So I'm going to let you talk now. Thank you.
The Barlett, it's located in the Horace Mann building in the middle of Midtown area. And it's located on 18th and Angelique. And it's not only an old school, it's not only a gym, it is the heritage of the people in the community. And it was dying, it was being forgotten in a lot of major ways. And to be able to get like a new gym a new roof and HVAC system, it's going to bring new life into the building and the programming and the community. I became the director in October of 2020 in the pandemic, and it was honestly a dying program. Other places like mine have like a national financial backing, but our program, it's mainly based upon childcare revenues, donations, and a grant off of United Way in the city. And that's completely it. And so to be able to even be operating as long as it has been is almost amazing. And the gym will be able to give us another stream of income. I've been in the news a lot lately and on the KQ2, and everyone's like, you're all over the place. Yes, because I want everybody to know about the Barlett Center. I want everybody to get how important it is to fund this agency and keep it open. And so another aspect of our gym, it's in collaboration with the museum in town. It will be to have plaques all over the gym that will tell about the history of the gym, about the programming, about the building. As you mentioned, you didn't know it as the Bartlett Center. It was as Horace Mann, and a lot of people are like that, but people don't understand about the change in the name or the history and the origin of each program. And after the gym is completely, I call it my decorative side, it's going to have black and white images of the building in the old days and educational opportunities all over the gym and the lobbies and everything. I mean, it's going to be great. I'm so excited.
I was curious to understand too, are there lots of classrooms there, and do you do tutoring? What are the former classrooms used for?
Yes.
I'm curious how those are used.
The school part of it, it's divided into two programs, a childcare program and then a youth program. In the childcare aspect, it has a childcare program and then preschool. And then in the youth aspect, it has a pre-kindergarten, virtual academy, and then before and after school program. And then there's also opportunities if there's no school. I'm open all day. I have tons of kids in the building every single day. And you mentioned about the tutoring. I have a computer lab. The kids come in, do their homework after school. I'm able to get tutors on Missouri Western. They tutor in English and math subjects. And so I try to provide any opportunity our kids are interested in, any opportunity people in the neighborhood come into the building and they're like, hey, I'm interested in gardening. Okay, well then a gardening aspect was just added last spring too as well. So it just needs to be full of life all the time. And then another misconception is that everybody imagines it's only for Black people. No, it's for everybody. Anyone that wants to use the gym, enroll your kids, any and everybody's always welcome.
LaTonya, how many kids do you serve typically?
In the licensed area, I'm licensed to get 92 kids birth to the ages of 12. but there's also the drop-in aspect of it. I have open gym and the tutoring aspect. Those kids are not enrolled. They just drop in as needed, or even just a place to hang out after school, just to come and talk. I have a lot of kids that they just come into my office. My doors are always open and they just want to talk. And so, and then after the gym was created, it's also open for gym rentals, for basketball practices and such like that too as well.
Outstanding.
I was curious what kind of hours you operate, because this is kind of we talk about coping and how we cope with life, and I'm a retired school teacher, so LaTonya, let me tell you, you have some stress, because if you got kids coming and going all day long, and I know that you don't have an exact enrollment. It's just who shows up when, and how you deal with the uncertainty, and how you keep your place staffed when you're not really sure exactly how it's all going to go that day.
Well, I'm not going to lie. When I was asked to do the podcast about coping, I was like, oh my gosh, I cope so badly. I don't know what I can tell people. But I just take things day by day. I normally have at least an idea of an average about the amount of kids, but it's kind of tricky due to the pandemic. Every organization is extremely understaffed. Everybody's understaffed, and everybody has to work long hours. And so the gym opened 2 weeks ago, and so I am in the process of acquiring new staff, but until then, the gym hours is all on me. I've been working 14-hour days most days, and then I come home and I edit pictures, spend time around my own kids, and so coping in a pandemic is really hard, but adding on, I own a business, and then I'm in charge of an organization. It's extra stress. I do a lot of prayer, and I keep in mind I have a lot of people who offer help, and they have my back. I have an amazing staff at the Barlett Center. It is a small staff, but they work really, really hard. And then I am an extremely organized person. And a lot of people at times tell me I'm spread too thin, I'm all over the place. But I look at it like the world takes all kinds of people. And I know a lot of people who are only able to do maybe a thing or a two at the same time well. But I have placed enough adequate people in my life, in that in all areas I'm able to juggle it pretty well. If you ask my kids, they may tell you something different, but on the most part, I look at it, I mean, it's all intertwined. Like, I'm on a lot of other committees, like I'm a part of a junior league, I'm on the board at InterServe, things like that, only it's all connected to my job at the Barlett Center. I mean, it brings more awareness, it brings more attention. I just look at it as it's all these other areas help me advocate better for my community and my job at the Barlett Center.
So you kind of got a synergy going with all of the places that you're extended into.
Right.
Oh, that's great. You raised it. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You had made the point about how the gym isn't just for black kids, and so that made me wonder, how does the ethnic representation of your currently, how does it match the ethnic breakdown of the community?
In actuality, I'm trying to think how to put this. A lot of people don't realize is that the area around the Bartlett, it's really diverse. It's not only a bunch of black people that live in the Midtown area.
Yeah.
But it's just that because there's a lot of black people in that area over other areas of town, people just automatically assume it's all black. And so if there is a divide, if there is any, it's economical, it's financial, it's not racial.
And I would imagine if the folks in your neighborhood are of a particular ethnic derivation, it's just a proximity thing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
How far out do you serve?
Well, our kids come from all over town. Our after school kids, the school district provides transportation in the morning and after school. And my kids come from schools all over town. It's not only the schools in the Midtown area. I mean, a year ago I had a bus from Pickett and Eugene Field, and those are nowhere near the Barlett Center. So it's just if a person's interested, come on and apply, get a spot. I welcome anybody. I don't even live in the Midtown area. As a child, I previously played in that area. I've never lived in the Midtown area though.
I'm so glad you brought up the transportation, because that was my question. How do children who do not live close get to your center? And that was a perfect answer, that information that I think is important for people who watch us today and will be watching during the week after we finish podcast. So you have all the children coming from different school or from one particular school?
All different schools. I have 8 different schools, and that also includes the brand new early learning center in the South End. Kids in our pre-K program are able to be picked up in the morning and then dropped off in the afternoon at the Barlett Center. And so if a parent contacts me and they're like, okay, my child goes to Skaith, I will contact over to the bus company, either me or my director will, and ask, is there a way to get transportation? And they always accommodate us. It's great.
I think it's an excellent way to mentor children at this age, because it's not a secret that many children, because of poverty, they fall back, and they do not have the same opportunity, same level to start as other children. But now, since we are talking about coping, I have a question. We know how now many schools and experience shortage of teachers and also bus drivers. So since it's happening, is it still very bad, or it's start improving? Could you update us?
Yes, well, a week ago, school was closed over the lack of teachers and the bus drivers due to COVID and other illnesses. Due to school being closed, a lot of kids ended up at my center all day long, every day.
Oh,
And
wow.
the district had just gotten back all their buses Thursday. Every day it was like few more buses were able to come back every day. But the cool aspect is, like Monday morning rolled around and only half of our buses came back. And I called around asking um, to the parents, or my director did, asking who still needed the transportation. And we had a group of kids who were not able to go to school due to no transportation. And so I was able to call to the school district. They provided a van, came over every morning, picked up my kids, dropped them to school, and then they brought them back afterwards. And my kids, they thought they were famous. They thought that was just the coolest thing ever for them. And then when they got their bus back, that they were actually disappointed. But it was just really a collaborative effort. Because I mean, with COVID and pandemic, nobody really knows ever about the changes or what's going to come, the conflicts, and you just kind of have to take it as it rolls out.
I want to comment on your usage of the word pairing the words "my kids." It touched me so much, my kids. But so, what kind of kids are they?
You know, I have worked in childcare off and on for 20 years. And the kids that I have now are just, if I was going to choose one word, it would be amazing. Um, Everyone always asks me about my kids, about the kids in the midtown and everything. And m- my kids are my kids. Like example, in my campaign, my kids were a big part of my campaign. If I did a commercial, all of us did the commercial together.
Nice.
I was in a parade, kids came with me. Just like a couple days ago at the grand opening, I chose a group of kids and we all cut the ribbon all together. I mean, every aspect of my job is about my kids, and I always carry them with me.
I wondered about, the parents surely have to pay something for their kids to come before and after school. And I wondered how you set your fees, if it was based on a parent's income, or if a parent really couldn't afford to send their kids, are there scholarships that do you ask for donations, or how do you handle that? I'm very curious.
Yes, a lot of our kids, their parents will apply for childcare assistance under the state. Um, but of course, it does not cover everything. Um, and there's also a group of parents who may make $20 too much to be able to get the assistance. Our fees are as low as I can make them. And in all honesty, I will probably need to increase them in the next 8 to 10 months just to continue to be sustainable. I've not increased them in years, but um, I also ask all the time for donations. And I'm a proud person. I never like asking for any kind of help, but I look at it like these are my kids and my kids need us. But I also have to pay my staff, pay the bills, training and supplies, and I will do whatever I need to do to help my kids out. Just like on example, as I was asked to do the podcast, I was nervous because I stutter when I speak. And so I was like, I don't want to spend an hour just talking, because what if I stumble and I mess up the whole time? And then I was like, okay, well, imagine the people that I'm able to reach, and then imagine the good that I'm able to do. And I'm like, if like a donation becomes of this, it was worth it. And so um I always if I'm able to, I'm like, I have a mother of 5 kids in our program, and they caught COVID over Christmas break. She was out of work for 2 weeks. It went unpaid. She's been a part of our programs as all these years, an amazing mother. Her kids, I would have them to move in with me if I could. I mean, amazing people, but she's now, right now, struggling to afford her portion of the bill. And so, but it's always like that. I mean, if a mother has like a car trouble and like the car's in the shop and that's extra money, she's going to be struggling on her bills. And a lot of times, I'll admit, I'm probably too lenient about the payments. But I look at these moms, and I was a teen mom, a product of a teen mom. I was these moms. And so I'm I'm not a pushover. Anybody will let you know that I'm not a pushover, but I'm always understanding, because you're not able to do anything if there's no childcare.
Second. Thank you for the wonderful answer. Also, we have a question on the screen. How can people donate to your program? Since you're talking about that, maybe it will come with donations.
Yes. You can either mail a check, drop a check by, and we also have a Venmo account too as well.
Okay, wonderful. I want to go back to what you just admitted about your stuttering.
Yes.
I think it's charming, and it's, don't take me wrong, because I'm from Russia and I have an accent. And my whole life in America, I tried to kill it, and I tried not to show my accent. Took lessons, probably like you did. But then somebody smart told me, just why do you try to remove it? It is so unique. And I think I did not hear that you stutter, but it's part of coping. You cope so well that you don't even show that. But the fact that you brought it up says that you're so just who you are. Authentic, vulnerable, and you're not afraid to be vulnerable. I appreciate it so much, because it touched me again, since I have a kind of a certain defect in my speech, and that's okay. And I think it's
I'm
an
not gonna
encouragement.
lie.
Yeah.
I've been nervous all day. I've been so nervous to do this, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, and then I'm also getting over like a cold, and I'm a little hoarse, and I'm like, my hair wouldn't go right, and I'm like, okay, you know what? It's life. It is what it is.
Oh, don't even start on the hair. I always have a bad hair day. So, but wonderful. It's just easy talking to you. Yes. So let's. Any questions at this point before we move to a book club? Oh, yes, go ahead, Candy.
I just wanted to check. You're talking about some kids have been with you all day, so that made me think, oh, you've got to feed these kids something. And I
Yes.
just wonder
Yes.
how you handle that, and I hope you get lots of good help with that. Do you have a kitchen staff, or does Second Harvest
Well,
help you, or how does that work?
I have one cook. It's a part-time cook, and then a lot of times, I'm the cook if need be. I'm the janitor. I'm anything that needs done in the building. Um, but Second Harvest donates our after-school snacks on the youth program. It's not the childcare program, just because it was approved through a grant, and the childcare program is able to get partial reimbursement through like a state program, and then the school district will donate um, for the kids in the building through the virtual academy. And it's just a collaborative effort of just different agencies. And we just, every week I look at the cook, and I'm like, okay, let's look at the freezer. Here's what we're going to do this week. And then there's also local um, companies like um, 2 weeks ago, National Beef donated 300 pounds of hamburger to my program. I just received a call and he's like, "Are you able to get here?" And in all honesty, I was busy. I was like, "Why?" And he's like, "Well, I got this donation and it's a couple cases of beef." I was like, "Okay, I'll be there." I didn't know it was 300 pounds of hamburger. So um, it's honestly just a collection of whatever I'm able to put together.
That's impressive, and it also says that people do care about the future of the children, and it gives us hope and it gives us confidence that this community will continue developing. Lots of things need to be done. I'm not saying that we live here. Scott is my husband, so we moved here almost 5 years ago, and the poverty was just staggering. And sometimes it's just like, what can people even do about it? But talking to people like you, little by little, it is a progress. Sometimes maybe it's hard to see it, but it is. And so, Candy, you can probably tell a little about our Action Boutique, that maybe in the future I could see some collaboration here. And I think that's what makes community stronger, when we collaborate. Could you comment on that, please?
Yes, we're excited. This will be a Saturday program. Now, does the Bartlett Center, is it open on Saturdays as well, or are you 5 days a week?
It's 5 days a week, and then if there's events or gym rentals, I'm open on the weekend too as needed.
What we're starting with our Action Boutique is just a place for kids to come on the weekend if they need a place to go, that has a lot of active kind of puzzles and games, and a creative type, a place to create things, to play ping pong, just to kind of hang out. And we're of course right downtown Francis, 12th and Francis Street, so that kind of lets you know where we're coming from. But we'd like to branch out and maybe try to collaborate with other people on other programs. And so, absolutely, we'll keep you in mind, and try to
Thank
do
you.
whatever we can, because that's such a wonderful thing. And it just seems like you've made a giant leap from where you were. I was probably last in the Bartlett Center maybe 2 years ago, something like that, maybe three. It was before COVID, so it's been a little while. But this is a giant leap that you've made, and it's very impressive, and I'm excited for you. I'm excited for the possibilities. If we can just work together, treat each other with respect and kindness, I just think what a wonderful place this could be.
Yes, thank you, Candy. I have a question to you. Since I mentioned that, do we have any questions before we move to other topics? One of them is a book club. And I want to ask you a question. What does reading do to our coping skills? Is it helpful? And in what way?
Well, anybody that knows me knows I love books. Because when I was little, I used to really stutter and I would avoid speaking. And I was also asthmatic and I wasn't really able to play outdoors a whole lot. And so I was inside and all I did was read. Um, and I still read a lot. It's just, it calms you down. And if you're reading a book and there's conflict in it, number one, it lets you know that I'm not alone in my own struggles. And number two, conflict is not, it's not always ongoing. It has an end. And so um, just like I teach my kids in the program, every problem, it's going to be okay eventually. Um, a lot of my kids will keep a journal. And if there's like a big issue, I say, okay, well, on your journal calendar, 2 months from now, put this issue on the calendar. And then in 2 months comes on that date and they're like, wow, it's not even a big issue anymore. Um, it's just, I think that being able to read as much as you want, as long as you want, um, helps you cope in ways that even talking out things are not able to do. Like when I was younger, I wasn't really able to express, or I was too nervous to express. Okay. But I was always able to either drown myself in a book or get a book about my problem. And then it just made things better.
So, is this a book club that you have with students? Do you read with kids, or is this a book you read for yourself, for your own pleasure?
The kids, we probably have too big of a library at the Bartlett Center. If anybody's asking to give books, I'm always like, yes, yes. If you could look at my house, I've got books all over the place. I read every day. If I'm not able to go to bed at night, I read. Um, Over my lunch hour, if there is a lunch hour, I read. Our kids, if they're in the building all day after lunch, it's a mandatory reading hour. And in the beginning, they would complain, I don't like it. And the trick is get them to reading a book about a topic that they're interested in. Like my 12-year-old is into anime. Well, I think that's the craziest stuff ever. But she loves anime,
Yes.
so she's got lots of books about anime. Um, each of my other kids love Harry Potter. In the beginning, I thought they were crazy. Only I'm like, okay, maybe I'm missing something. I'll try it. And then I love Harry Potter. I also love horror movies. Stephen King, he's my fave. And so just if you're able to get a thing a person's interested in, everybody's interested in a thing, get them a book about it, and they're going to love it.
I admire that. I love reading too. I read 2 books this last week, and I don't usually read that much because I don't quite have time, but I love to read. I really do. Yeah.
Do
Historical
you listen
fiction
to
is my
audio books too?
I really don't. And in fact, and I have a Kindle that I read on some, but I really love a book in my hand that I can turn the pages. But I do, yeah, either Kindle or a book, yeah.
I listen to audiobooks in the car just because, and this is going to kind of make me sound really old and cranky, but today's music, excuse my language, is crap. And so
Yeah, agreed.
in the car, all of us always listen to books in the car. I never listen to music.
If we go on a road trip, my husband and I, Mark and I, always listen to books. That is one thing we absolutely enjoy. And I will listen to books that I normally wouldn't have picked for myself. And so that's kind of fun to do that, really. So, yes, occasionally I do that if we're going on a road trip. But I usually just run to the store and back, and I don't really go very far. So I guess that's why I don't, maybe.
LaTonya, I commute 2 weeks of the month down to the south of Kansas City, and so it's like 140 round trip. And so I'm always listening to books. I just finished a trilogy, a Chinese science fiction trilogy that was just outstanding. Now I have to find another book. So if you have a good recommendation, I'm happy to take it.
That's great.
That's wonderful. Also, if any questions we have still about books, but I think this is a fascinating topic. Go ahead, Scott.
Yes. Have you? What are your thoughts about having someone come in and read to the kids?
I think that's great. I also encourage people to let the kids read to them too as well, because my kids are amazing readers, and they've also created books on their own, and they're always asking to come into my office to read to me. So I like both.
And I just thought too, that we had a program about therapy dogs on our coping podcast. See, they'll come out and visit you with their dogs as soon as they're able to get out again. Have you done that yet?
Yes, yes. It
Okay.
was prior to COVID, and the kids loved it. They loved it.
That's an amazing idea. Thank you, Candy, for sharing that. It's a good way to help children cope with trauma and stress and depression and various kind of behavioral things that they try to cope with. So since you're so, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask one other question because there are people who would volunteer to come and let kids read to them. And really, COVID has shut me down from doing anything,
Right,
truthfully. But there will be a day when we can do that again. Do you welcome volunteers in, or do they need to be checked in some way? Do they have to do a screening before they can come in? I'm curious about that.
Yes,
Okay.
I have. If it's a group, normally a group um, does their own screening. Like in the junior league, it does their own screening. But if it's just a person, I have an application process and there's a background check as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you know some of us in church have a background check because of safe sanctuaries? Do you think that would count, or maybe not? I don't
Yes,
know.
yes,
It
it
would
would.
count.
It
Okay.
would.
Okay.
All right.
That's a good question, Candy. So, in addition to that, will it require certain paperwork from the church to confirm that people have certain individual has a background check and is certified by this program?
Normally, um, if it's a group, I get like a list of their names and then a copy of their background checks
Okay.
um, to keep at our place as well, just as an extra precaution.
Okay. Thank you. I want to move to another angle. Since you are such a multi complex person and talented on many many levels, looking at your Facebook, besides that, I was jumping at every page like, oh, she's a director of the Barlett Center, oh, she is on the school board, oh, and then finally I was just said, wait a second, that requires a whole podcast because of your photography.
Yes.
Photography. So if I may I put on a screen this picture,
Yes.
because this is something that or this is not the right one. So let me show that. Just a second. It will add to the screen. Okay. So this picture, and I will try to kind of enlarge it, just got my attention because of the, I don't know, it is so much in this picture love and beauty and the color selection and the eyes of a baby and the way the baby is wrapped in this yellow color and the flowers. So and the behind, of course, is your logo and a banner on your Facebook page. So could you tell us more? And I will remove myself from the screen that you have more space here.
Yes, I opened up my photography business about 10 years ago. I am a portrait photographer. I do newborns. I do children. Children are my main thing. Children, newborns. I do maternity. If there's like a wedding, um, and my style is kind of like my personality. I mean, all of my images are really bold, really stark and honest. Um, all of them tell a story. I do not only take a picture, I capture a moment and I share it. And so um, my images are also really bright, lots of color, and they speak um, because speaking, as I mentioned earlier, I have always had issues with, and I would use other methods to speak. and not my own words and my images do that for me.
That is just a beautiful, beautiful picture. I love it.
The voice is very clear in that picture. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. I also have a question about another picture, and I will bring it on the screen in a few minutes. But this is the picture that is a young woman, and then the comment that you had under the picture got my attention as well, because it says, excited to announce that Ariana Davis Williams will be returning as choreographer for our 2022 production. So could you say more? Is it your daughter?
That's my oldest daughter, yes.
Oh my gosh, could you say more? Because my favorite play in the book I grew up with is Wizard of Oz.
That's one of my favorites too as well.
Oh,
yes.
But
and,
so,
yes, and my children are all artists. All of my children dance, and my oldest daughter is an amazing choreographer, a makeup artist, and she has been choreographing for CAP for the last 2 years, but she has also teaches as a teacher at the Dance Art Center. And my girls have been dancing each since the age of 2, and so but her being a choreographer for CAP, especially the Wizard of Oz, I'm so excited for that. So excited.
Okay, let's I love this picture. Let me tell you, it's just something about this picture, about her laughter. I just let it speak by itself, for itself. Oh my goodness, what a good picture. And of course the note on the bottom. So how did you arrange this picture? Is it a natural picture that you just took of her? She's just so beautiful.
Well, thank you. On my own kids, I always choose a theme, and I choose like a crazy idea. Just because my own kids, they're not really able to tell me no about my ideas. I get to do what I want. And Ariana and I are so different and yet a lot alike. She was my child. I was a child myself. I wasn't even 18 years old, and we grew up together. And this image comes out of an idea. It's called Day and Night. And so this picture, it was a part of her day. And this is how I look at my child, just full of life and completely pure. But the night version is on like a black background, and she has on a ton of makeup, and it's bold and it's loud and it's completely Ariana. But it's ironic, out of all those images I took, this is her favorite one, and it's how I see her. And so and I actually took this in my bedroom. If you were able to look at the behind the scenes, it's my other children holding up a blanket in my bedroom, and Ariana is on her knees in front of the blanket.
Oh wow, I didn't see that one.
Yeah,
that is
cheated on that one.
Interesting how the her image in a white blouse on the background of a white wall is just so just striking. And I don't know what it is, but you're an artist, so you did something to the eyes and to the brain that is just like makes you lose your breath, just stop breathing. Beautiful, beautiful picture. Thank you. But also, where did you learn it? How did it come around?
Well, in high school in town, Central High School, I was interested in a guy, and he was interested in photography. Took this class, and by the end of this class, I really didn't know his name anymore, but I was in love with photography. And then it just carried on through college. I received a photography minor. And then I just always kept on taking lots of pictures, irregardless of my career, like at the time. And as my 12-year-old was born, she was born 8 weeks early and had a lot of health problems, and I wasn't able to take her to childcare. And it was at like a level to where I'm like, okay, well, it was always in my mind to open up a photography business, only I never really imagined I could really do it. And then it was just like, you have to either go for it or stop talking about it. And I did, and it just evolved and evolved. And every single time a person contacts me to capture memories, I'm just always, it's humbling, because as I mentioned earlier, I mean, it's not only taking a picture and then I get the money for it. I am being trusted to get their memories, preserve them, and project them. And so I just think that I've got the two most amazing careers. And I believe that God leads you to where you need to be. And so even if I am extra tired at times or stressed, I just always have to keep in mind, God is who put me here, and through God, I will always do great things. So
I think your story teaches us today how nobody's life is ordinary. You started with, I'm just an ordinary person. You're not. But you see how you take, again, you probably, for some people, yes, it's a family picture, it's your daughter, but it became a piece of art. And I'm sure it will live through centuries, because it is something in this picture, as well as just in this baby picture, that it's life. And it's I don't know, it is some kind of breathing. And when you talked about Martin Luther King, and you said that he was full of color, and you love color, and I think it shows in your photography, even when it is black and white. But you teach us to learn to love colors, to love life, to love this kind of intersection between people, how people get together, not even knowing each other, and suddenly start seeing the connection. We are all connected. So time passes so fast. You were worried about speaking for an hour. Did you even get tired? We will be happy to have you back one day.
no, I mean, I was thinking, I don't have enough to talk about for that long.
And now can you see that you have so much to say, and practically no time? But that's what I think we have this podcast, that people realize that every person has so much to share about coping skills, because our life is hard. And all the skills that sometimes we think that we know them all, and suddenly it's not enough, because life surprises us with new circumstances. Thank you. Thank you, LaTonya. Any questions, Candy and Scott, at this point?
I just wanted to say how much I appreciated you coming on and just talking so openly and honestly about so many things, because your life is multifaceted and you're an amazing person. And thank you for sharing that with us. I really appreciate it. It's been fun. It's been a fun hour. It went quickly.
Yeah, it went quickly, exactly.
Thank you, LaTonya. Delightful time.
Yeah, right. And thank you for titling it Life with LaTonya Williams, because every story you shared showed so many angles of your life, and I'm sure there are more, like in a diamond, you just turn the stone, it's like, oh, that's another angle. So thank you, LaTonya. God bless you. Please continue doing what you're doing, but also, since you mentioned you work 14 hours a day, coping is also teaching us to sometimes take time for yourself. And I'm sure your photography helps you with that, kind of to remove yourself from what you do daily, and also show your artistic side. And I think it's always a way to shine, but also to touch something internally that is connected and connecting you with God. God bless you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful week. And thank you, Candy,
you
so
so
much.
much.
And thank you, Scott. God bless you. Have a good week.
Bless guys.
Bye.